Polls open in 1 hour. We'll help you get ready to vote in the spring election and break down the races with the biggest impacts.
Plus, how state party leaders are reacting to the Supreme Court election. Good morning and welcome to News 3 Now This Morning on a Tuesday. I'm Kyrie Onley.
And I'm Chris Stanford. I cannot wait until tomorrow when we get stopped. They stop hounding us with text messages and all the phone calls.
See, I
and everything.
I haven't gotten any of those.
Oh, it's because you haven't, maybe not have
I may have not been here
registered to
long.
vote?
No,
or,
I am registered to vote.
Okay.
But I have been getting a lot of mail.
Maybe you're not on the list.
Yeah, not on the list for text.
It has been so annoying. It's been so annoying. My kids are like, Dad, why does everybody keep calling and texting you?
I'm like, who's on your line, Dad?
I'm like, holy cow.
Goodness.
Yeah, I can't wait for this to be over. We have a very important election today, though, and
Yes,
we're going to
we
make
do.
sure that you get ready before you head out the door.
All right, well, let's check in with Savannah, who's going to get us up to date on what we need to know as we head to the polls this morning.
Yeah, good morning, guys. It's a chilly start. Temperatures are a little bit below average. We're only at 26 in Madison, but the cool spots, Black River Falls and Watoma to our north, they're down to 17. A couple places are warmer, upper 20s. Platteville's sitting at 29 this morning. Everyone will see a similar day compared to yesterday, solely as far as temperatures go. But winds are going to increase, so later this afternoon and evening it'll be breezy, and then we're tracking a rain-snow mix late. Alert day conditions are going to be in place tomorrow. That lasts tonight through the day tomorrow for 2 rounds of strong to severe thunderstorms that we're tracking. We'll lay that all out and talk about the threats we could see across southern Wisconsin coming up in just a bit, guys.
Sounds good. Hey, folks, don't forget to track those storms yourself with the free First Warn Weather app. Download it wherever you get your apps. Well, on this election day in Wisconsin, we're checking in with our local elections officials for last-minute advice for voters.
Our Josh Prider is live in Madison, continuing our team coverage this morning. Josh.
Hey, good morning, guys. Yeah, we're at a polling place on the west side of Madison this morning. Polls open in under an hour here across Wisconsin, so we want to see exactly what voters need to know if they're heading out to the polls this morning. We have Deputy Clerk Jim Verbick of Madison joining us. Jim, good morning to you.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. This is no April Fool's joke. It is Election Day here in Wisconsin.
Yeah, happy Election Day. The birds are out singing. It's a great day to vote.
You know, this is going to be a great day to be able to get out and vote. And what kind of reminders do you have for folks that are heading out here in the city of Madison?
Yeah, so today's Election Day, so if you have not already turned an absentee ballot to us, if you've only just mailed one, you can always come here and vote. If you're not registered, you can register. It's the same day, registration day, so bring proof of registration, whether it's your current driver's license with your current address on it, utility bill, bank statement, things like that. And then you'll also need a voter ID, so Wisconsin state ID or driver's license, passport, tribal ID, student voter identification card, something like that.
Last time we talked to you here on News 3 Now this morning, it was primary day. Today is actually Election Day, so is anything going to look different for voters today?
It shouldn't. It's the same process and everything like that. The primary just sort of cut down the field on some of the races, so now it's Election Day for the spring election, yeah.
So here at Point of Grace Community Church, you can see all of the volunteers are getting ready this morning to get the polls open at 7 o'clock. You guys could not do this without the volunteers here in the city.
Absolutely. It takes thousands of people to do it. We're only in office about 10, so yeah, we certainly need the people to help us, and they do a great job.
You know, how can you reassure folks that all votes are going to count this time? I know November was a different deal for the city of Madison. You guys have obviously doubled down to make sure things are going to be better this time. What are you guys doing behind the scenes to make sure that that's happening?
Sure. We've certainly improved some of our processes. We put that in place for the February election. We're making sure that our polling places know all the bags at the beginning of their absentee ballots and all the seal numbers, and we're getting to them right away. We'll have deliveries of absentee ballots going in the morning and then some in the afternoon, depending on what mail we get back, and dispersing it through the polling places throughout the city.
Obviously, right now, there's a couple things on the ballot that are getting national attention. Do you expect a good voter turnout here in the city of Madison today?
Absolutely. I know so far just in absentee voting, we've had at least a quarter of our registered voters voting, so we expect a pretty good turnout today.
All right, so get out. Any recommendations on times for voting? Are there times to try to avoid?
Anytime before 8 o'clock. As long as you're in line by 8 o'clock, you can still vote. But yeah, anytime. It kind of depends on the location and if people have voted absentee and how the big turnout will be, whether it'll be in person or absentee, yeah.
All right, Jim. Well, thank you for your time this morning and happy Election Day.
Yeah, you as well. Thank you.
Again, we are your Election Day headquarters. You can go to the story up on channel3000.com. We have everything you need to know if you're heading out to the polls. Coming up in our next half hour, we'll be talking to the Dane County Clerk, Sock McDonald, about what he's seeing county-wide, guys. So, again, under an hour now until polls open across Wisconsin.
All right, Josh Sprider, good to see you. Welcome back, and we'll talk with you here in just a little bit. Well, statewide voters are going to turn out today for a few very big races. There's a vote on a constitutional amendment. There's the state superintendent of public instruction race, and the big one, the race for state Supreme Court.
And depending where you live, voters will also see local elections on their ballots. That includes referendum, school board, city council, and mayoral elections. So if you want to see what's on your ballot, again, you can head to myvote.wi.gov.
In the race for state Supreme Court, conservative Justice Brad Schimmel and liberal Justice Susan Crawford stopped in Dane County yesterday for their final remarks. The court will likely decide cases on abortion, public sector unions, voting rules, and congressional district boundaries.
We need to get the vote out. We need to get it out in Dane County, but we need to get it out all over the state.
You guys are outnumbered here more than anywhere else in the state, but you are the fiercest.
While Democrats focus their efforts in Dane County cities, Republicans still pull some significant votes from Dane County suburbs.
The state Supreme Court race is nonpartisan, but the state's Republicans and Democrats have been receiving millions of dollars in support for candidates. President Donald Trump's ally, Elon Musk, has been a vocal supporter of Schimmel. He has donated $3 million to the state GOP. On the left, billionaire Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker and liberal activist George Soros have donated millions. News 3 Now spoke with both state party leaders to hear whether they think this is how elections should run.
Absolutely not. It is core to the Democratic Party of Wisconsin's platform, to the beliefs of most Wisconsinites, regardless of party, that we should have campaign finance reform. We should try to get big money out of politics.
The liberals in this state have been taking tens of millions of dollars for years to fund state Supreme Court races. They're upset now because the other side is catching up. It's that simple.
The parties and candidates have broken the record for most expensive judicial race in the country.
Statewide voters will also weigh in on a constitutional amendment. This one would enshrine a voter ID requirement into the state constitution. It's already required to present an ID to vote by law, but adding it to the state constitution would make it tougher for future courts and the legislature to change it.
Voters will also vote on the state superintendent of public instruction. The role is elected every 4 years and oversees public education across the state. Incumbent Dr. Jill Underly will seek a second term. Voters elected her back in 2021. She has a background as a teacher, principal, and rural superintendent. Her challenger, Brittany Kinzer, owns an education consulting firm, co-founded the Literacy Initiative, and is a former science and special education teacher. Also in the hands of voters today, city and school referendums totaling hundreds of millions of dollars.
Our consumer reporter Michelle Renee Quinn is here to break down a couple of those referenda for us this morning, the village of Cottage Grove and the Baraboo School District. Michelle Renee?
Chris, Kyrian, good morning. The Baraboo referendum should look familiar. It's similar to the failed referendum from November, but this time the district has come up with a tax-neutral option. Now, tax-neutral means the district can maintain consistent tax rates. So unlike the $55 for 100 of your property value that was asked in November, voters would not have a sudden tax increase if this is approved. A yes vote would allow the district to address critical space needs for elementary students and update necessities like plumbing and heating systems. And in Cottage Grove, the village has been trying to service a public library since the early 2000s. With its current structure and funding, a referendum is required to fund the operational costs associated with the new library. All projected costs have been considered in the total ask of $1,300,000, which would begin in December if approved. Its forecasted first 5 years of tax impact are on your screen now. That's $116 for 2026, down to $79 by 2030. Now, the village says the actual tax impact of this project might even be less than these projections here. If the referendum is approved, the project moves forward, and if that library meets Dane County standards, the county itself will eliminate the library-related portion of the property tax from the overall county levy.
All right, Michelle Renee, thank you for that. So, News Now, your home for election coverage. We'll be live all day with what you need to know. Remember, voting starts here in about 50 minutes and it ends at 8 o'clock tonight. And if you're in line by 8, you can stay in line to vote. Find your polling place and what's on your ballot by logging on to myvote.wi.gov. Wisconsin law requires that you bring a valid photo ID in to vote. That can be a Wisconsin driver's license, a DOT-issued identification card, a passport, or a military ID.
Savannah, what's coming up?
As we're still tracking a rain-snow mix later this evening and then a storm threat. Some of these could be stronger. We'll have the latest on your alert day conditions tomorrow coming up.
And ahead in your morning sports, the Brewers trying to snap a 3-game skid to start off the season. We'll see if the crew could get it done against the Royals.
Forward.
Welcome back. Be sure to tune in to News 3 Now this morning. Tomorrow, we will announce the winner of our Spirit of Service campaign. One of these 5 veterans are listed on our screen. You've heard their stories, and one of them will be presented $5,000 presented by Vortex. Again, that's tomorrow right here on News 3 Now this morning. And that'll be taking place in our 6 o'clock hour around 6:40.
The 6:40-ish? Yeah.
Yes.
Josh's 6:08 segment. Always exciting to hand over that great big check to somebody who deserves it.
That's right. So, yeah, tune in then.
6:15, Savannah Burrito is here to plan your day. Hey, Savannah.
Hey guys, good morning. Most of the day's looking dry. We're clear right now, temperature down to 26. Dry conditions not going to last all day though. Once we get to the evening, that's when a rain snow is going to move in, and temperatures will be similar to yesterday. 44 the forecast high later today in Madison. Alert day conditions will be in place later, basically early tomorrow morning, and then that secondary round of strong to severe thunderstorms tomorrow afternoon into the evening. Tonight's basically just a hail threat, maybe some isolated winds, but tomorrow we'll be doing with the morning early round 4 to 9 in the morning, and then 12 to 7 p.m. is that second round. I think really specifically 3 to 6 p.m. is the greatest chance of severe weather tomorrow afternoon into the early evening. Everyone included in this yellow color, that's a slight risk, level 2 out of 5, Prairie du Chien, all the way west to Milwaukee, including the city of Madison as well. However, the greatest chance of severe weather is going to be across northern Illinois, including the Rockford and Chicagoland areas, south of Milwaukee, that includes Beloit, Lake Geneva, and also Kenosha in southern Wisconsin. All modes of severe weather are going to be possible, especially with that second round that comes tomorrow after the lunchtime period and all the way through dinner. So we're clear right now. It's not going to last all day. We'll quickly turn to mostly cloudy skies, I think, by mid to late morning, and then the rain-snow mix begins. This is 5, still west of Madison. That moving in pretty quickly between 6 and 7. I don't think we're going to see much accumulation. We're looking at trace amounts across Dane County at most, basically north of the Dells, and really hitting that Watoma area and northward. That's where greater accumulations and travel impacts are going to be. Everyone's going to eventually start to see that transition. This is around midnight, Madison and southward as temperatures warm with an isolated hail threat, then that's going to come after midnight. Everyone's going to see that transition, maybe a couple areas seeing a mix still, but most of us heavy rain. That's all the orange and yellows as well. That is going to be the first round. That was 4 in the morning. Now we're looking at later mid-morning. If we're able to see a break, that's going to heavily increase the threat of severe weather with that secondary round that comes later. This is 4 p.m. showing another line moving in, and this is where all modes of severe weather would be possible. After that, we're going to dry up pretty quickly. Areas will likely pick up at least 1 to 2 inches of rain, maybe even a couple isolated 2.5 to 3 inches. A lot of heavy rain that's going to be associated with this system, and close to 70 tomorrow. The good news is we're going to be dry with some sunshine returning and highs a little cooler, but near normal in the 50s on Thursday.
After giving up 36 runs in 3 games and being swept by the Bronx Bombers, the Brewers desperately needed to come back home to the friendly confines of AmFam Field for some home cooking. The only problem, their pitching staff isn't too healthy. 8 guys are injured, which is why Pat Murphy gave Elvin Rodriguez the starting nod for the home opener. And Rodriguez's 27th birthday got off to a rocky start. First inning, crew already down 1-0. Hunter Renfroe drops one into left to bring in 2 more. The Royals jumped out to a 3-run lead after 1. And they'd add to it in the next inning. The solo shot makes it 4-0. Rodriguez lasted 4 innings. He gave up 4 runs on 6 hits and only struck out 3 batters. And the Brewers' bats couldn't do much either, mustering up just 6 hits while striking out 11 times. The Brewers fall in their home opener, 11-1 the final. Now, this is only the 6th time in franchise history that the Brewers are starting the season 0-4. We bring in Andrew Banstra. Kind of the only good part about this game was the sausage race where the hot dog won, right? Like, we watched this. There was not a lot of good happening for the Brewers.
That is one way to put it. Zach, it was a brutal start to the season for the Brewers. Last season, they were the only team in the majors to never lose 4 straight games. This year, they start on the 4-game skid, giving up an unforgivable and MLB record 47 runs over their first 4. The team tells me this is unacceptable, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're worried.
I mean, worry's a waste of time. We just got to get busy. We got great people in that room, and I believe in that room. I believe in this team. You guys can laugh at me if you want, but I believe in this team, and I believe that they'll learn from this.
It's a long season. You know, we're 4 games in. There's a lot of games left to play, so you just got to move on.
I mean, it's just 4 games, but we got to do better. You know, it's unacceptable to do that, you know, over the course of 4 games. There's different kinds of losses, but, you know, we have to do better than that.
William Contreras told us that he is a player that likes to win. So this is about as tough of a start as you could imagine. But the beautiful thing about baseball is there is always tomorrow. With Zach Hanley, I'm Andrew Banstra, signing off from opening day at American Family Field for News 3 Sports.
Doesn't get much rougher for the Brewers to start off the season. Boy, 0-4.
Yeah, and some really tough losses, especially with the point deficits and all that. But hopefully they'll rebound.
Plenty of baseball left. Long season.
Exactly.
158 games
It's just the
left.
beginning. It's just the beginning. But still ahead, the benefits of sleeping with a stuffed animal and a Major League Baseball's new bats have fans talking.
We're back. But trending this morning, stuffed animals. Apparently, they're not just for kids anymore. Some adults are sleeping with them too. And experts think it might be a good thing. It also appears to be getting more common. Plush sales grew during the pandemic, and one industry expert says in 2024, about 1/5 of all plush toys sold were to adults over 18. And according to another expert, stuffed animals can help with better sleep by giving the brain a signal that it's time to wind down.
Yep, definitely guilty of this.
Yep. I put my little head on a squishmallow and I go to bed.
It's the comfiest thing.
There you go.
Oh. Can't say I do that, but my kids do, so there's that.
Well, hey, Major League Baseball's got a new weapon this season, the torpedo bat. They're designed with more wood in the area of the bat that's most likely to make impact with the ball, give the batters a better chance for base hits and home runs. Major League Baseball has confirmed they're legal. New York Yankee used them to crush the Brewers in the opening series, scoring 32 runs in 2 games. So some players on other teams, including the Chicago Cubs and Minnesota Twins, are also using the torpedo bats.
So do we think the Brewers need the torpedo bats?
I know they need something.
I think they might.
Anything.
Get them on board.
Yes. Well, hey, use what works, there you have it.
Yeah, well, I forgot I'm going to be out of office next week. I'm going to Arizona, and it's Severe Weather Awareness Week in Wisconsin, so we're going to continue that coverage a little early. What are the most tornado-prone months? We talked about when the violent tornadoes occur. How about the most tornado-prone months? February, March, April, May, April, May, June, or June, July, August?
C, April, May, June.
I'm going to go B.
Is this just for Wisconsin, or is
Everywhere.
this for the...
All across the country.
All right, I'm going to go with C.
B. 2 in a row, baby. 2 in a row.
It's supposed to be C. It's supposed to be C.
April, May, June.
Well, 30 minutes until the polls open this morning will help you prepare before you cast your ballot.
Plus, the race that's capturing national attention, why Supreme Court candidates stopped in Dane County to finish their campaign.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to News 3 Now this morning. No fooling on this April 1st. I'm Chris Stanford.
And I'm Kyrie Lee. Thanks for waking up with us this morning.
All business. Totally serious.
Business as usual. There is an election today.
Yes.
So, yes, if you're going to get out there to the polls, do so. But remember, you can register in person today. We'll have more on that in just a little bit.
All right, big election day. Also, we have some weather to talk about. Chilly start to the day. Could see some storms later, Savannah.
Yeah, we're going to see a rain-snow mix later this evening, and then that turns into a storm threat, which is why we're tracking alert day conditions. Not during the day. That's going to come tonight, mainly early Wednesday, and that lasting through Wednesday evening. But it is a chilly start. We're at 26 right now, only in Madison. We do have a couple of 30s closer to freezing level, all areas west of Madison, and then a little cooler east. Deerfield's only at 25 early this morning. Couple cold spots, 17 in Black River Falls and Watoma, and then a couple areas are slightly warmer than that. Platteville closer to the 30-degree mark. And then, like I said, we're tracking strong to severe thunderstorms, 2 potential rounds. Everyone across southern Wisconsin could see this. We'll time that out further and have the specific details, including threats we could see here. That's coming up.
All right, we'll keep checking in often. It is Election Day, and voters across the state will vote on that constitutional amendment, the state superintendent race, and the big one, the state Supreme Court race.
And depending where you live, voters will also see local elections on their ballots today. That includes referendum, school board, city council, and mayoral elections. If you want to see what's on your ballot, you can head to myvote.wi.gov.
Eyes are on the state Supreme Court race today. The candidates are conservative Justice Brad Schimmel and liberal Justice Susan Crawford. Yesterday, both candidates stopped in Dane County for their final remarks. The county is pivotal in this year's election. In the Supreme Court race in 2023, Dane County accounted for more liberal votes than Milwaukee. But in the November election, the county accounted for the 3rd largest number of Republican voters in the state.
We need to get the vote out. We need to get it out in Dane County, but we need to get it out all over the state.
You guys are outnumbered here more than anywhere else in the state, but you are the fiercest.
The court will likely decide cases on abortion, public sector unions, voting rules, and congressional district boundaries. While Democrats focus their efforts in Dane County cities, Republicans still pull significant votes from Dane County suburbs.
The state Supreme Court race is nonpartisan, but the state's Republicans and Democrats have been receiving millions of dollars in support for candidates. President Donald Trump's ally, Elon Musk, has been a vocal supporter of Schimmel. He has donated $3 million to the state GOP. On the left, billionaire Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker and liberal activist George Soros have donated millions. News 3 now spoke with both state party leaders to hear whether they think this is how elections should run.
Absolutely not. It is core to the Democratic Party of Wisconsin's platform, to the beliefs of most Wisconsinites, regardless of party, that we should have campaign finance reform. We should try to get big money out of politics.
The liberals in this state have been taking tens of millions of dollars for years to fund state Supreme Court races. They're upset now because the other side is catching up. It's that simple.
The parties and candidates have broken the record for most expensive judicial race in the country.
Statewide, voters will also weigh in on a constitutional amendment. If approved, this would enshrine a voter ID requirement to the state constitution. It's already law here in the state that you need to have a photo ID to vote. Adding it to the Constitution would make it more difficult for the courts and the legislature to overturn it.
Voters will also vote on the state superintendent of public instruction. The role is elected every 4 years and oversees public education across the state. Incumbent Dr. Jill Underly will seek a second term. Voters elected her back in 2021. She has a background as a teacher, principal, and rural superintendent. Her challenger, Brittany Kinzer, owns an education consulting firm, co-founded the Literacy Initiative, and is a former science and special education teacher.
Dane County voters will vote again for county executive today. The candidates are incumbent Melissa Agard and challenger Stephen Ratzlaff. The winner will serve a 4-year term. It comes after voters just elected Agard back in November to serve the remainder of former executive Joe Parisi's term. He retired last May.
The Village of Oregon is asking voters to support a permanent $1.95 million property tax levy. Village leaders say it will help maintain existing public safety and other service programs for the growing population. If it passes, it will allow the police department to hire 3 new officers, plus hiring across other departments. In the meantime, the police department is getting creative with their recruitment. It's complete with a voiceover from the chief, beauty shots of the village, and what recruits of the force may see if they get the job. A sergeant with the department put it all together free of charge. The chief says it's getting good feedback so far.
Not only did it save us a lot of money, because we're really trying to be careful with where we're spending money right now, but the outcome of the recruitment video has been great. It's actually showing who we are because it was created by someone who's been very successful within our department.
If they went through an outside firm, the cost for something similar would range anywhere between $1,000 to $10,000. And also in the hands of voters today, city and school referendums totaling hundreds of millions of dollars.
Our consumer reporter Michelle Renee Quinn is here to break down a couple of those races this morning. One in the village of Cottage Grove and the other for the Baraboo School District. Good morning, Michelle Renee.
Chris, Kyrion, good morning. The Baraboo referendum should look familiar because it's similar to the failed referendum from November. This time, the district has come up with a tax-neutral option. Now, tax-neutral means the district can maintain consistent tax rates, unlike the $55 for $100 of your property value that was asked in November. Voters would not have a sudden tax increase if this is approved. A yes vote would allow the district to address the critical space needs for elementary students and update necessities like plumbing and heating systems. Now, in Cottage Grove, the village has been trying to service a public library since the early 2000s. With its current structure and funding, a referendum would be required to fund the operational costs associated with the new library. All projected costs have been considered in the total ask of $1,300,000, which would begin in December if approved. Now, its forecasted first 5 years of tax impact are on your screen now. That's $116 for 2026, down to $79 by 2030. The village says the actual tax impact of this project might even be less than these projections here. And if the referendum is approved, the project moves forward. And if that library meets Dane County standards, the county will also eliminate the library-related portion of property tax from the overall county levy.
All right, Michelle Renee, thanks for breaking that down for us. News 3 Now is your home for election coverage. Remember, voting begins at 7 a.m. this morning here in 23 minutes and ends at 8 p.m. And as long as you're in line by 8 o'clock, you can still vote. Find your polling location and what's on your ballot by logging on to myvotewi.gov. Wisconsin law requires you to bring a valid photo ID to vote. That can be a Wisconsin driver's license, a DOT-issued identification card, a passport, or a military ID.
And tomorrow, President Donald Trump plans to unveil sweeping new tariffs. The leaders at home and abroad are working to mitigate impacts and preparing retaliatory measures. The U.S. Senate is expected to take up a resolution aimed at blocking the tariffs on Canadian goods. Only a small handful of Republicans say they might join Democrats in supporting it, but others are voicing concerns. Countries including South Korea, China, and Japan are preparing to retaliate against the U.S. The U.S. stock market is coming off its worst quarter in years, but Trump and his allies promise a bright future with more domestic manufacturing.
Goldman Sachs says there's a growing risk the U.S. economy is headed for a recession. The Wall Street Bank is warning clients it now sees a 35% chance of a recession in the next 12 months. That's up from 20%. Goldman also anticipates higher inflation and more unemployment. But the bank still expects the U.S. economy to avoid a downturn.
Now to updates on the death of actor Gene Hackman and his wife. A New Mexico judge blocked the public release of certain videos and photos captured by law enforcement. The partially mummified remains of the pair were found in their New Mexico home nearly 2 weeks after their deaths. Attorneys for the Hackman estate say access to information about the couple's final days should be permanently sealed to protect the family's privacy. Meanwhile, lawyers for the Associated Press and CBS argued Hackman's rights to privacy ended with his death. The judge says any images of the couple's bodies must be blurred.
The owner of rescuers in Southeast Asia are desperately searching for more survivors of Friday's earthquake. More than 2,000 are confirmed dead. The first 72 hours after a quake are known as the golden window to reach victims buried alive under debris. After that, chances of survival without water are low. According to Myanmar's military government, more than 3,900 people are hurt. Some 300 are still missing. The U.S. Geological Survey estimates the final death toll could surpass 10,000 based on early modeling. Well, the owner of a Westside Madison jewelry shop says crooks robbed her store using a chainsaw. The robbery happened Sunday at Joyeria y Regalos Rossi on Odana Road. The shop's owner says robbers used that chainsaw to cut a hole into the back wall of the building. The crooks got away with several high-end pieces of jewelry while customers, the shop's priority. The owner's daughter says she isn't sure what comes next.
She's worked really hard for this. We as a family, we don't wish bad on whoever did this. We have a lot of faith in God, and we're very sure that we'll get up from this because it was definitely a really hard hit.
Madison police say the thieves broke into neighboring shops to get access to the store. So far, no arrests in this case. Police haven't identified any suspects.
A man stabbed to death by his teenage son in Madison has been identified. The medical examiner says 40-year-old Nicholas Velasquez died at the scene. It happened over the weekend on North Midvale Boulevard. Police say Velasquez's 17-year-old son stabbed him after an argument. The teenager is in jail facing a reckless homicide charge. Velasquez's official cause and manner of death are still pending.
6:40 tomorrow on News 3 Now this morning, we will announce the winner of our Spirit of Service campaign. We have 5 veterans in our finalists. $5,000 is going to get given out tomorrow by Vortex. So tune in right here to News 3 Now this morning around 6:40-ish, where we will present that big old check to a deserving veteran. We have 5 of them with incredible stories, each and every one of them doing amazing things in their community. And cannot wait to see who comes away the winner this year.
Yes, it'll be a good pick either way it goes. So yes, all 5 very deserving of this award. Tune in tomorrow. Well, let's check in with Savannah. What's coming up?
Well, guys, today we're tracking a rain-snow mix later this evening, and then I'll have the latest on your alert day conditions into Wednesday coming up.
And our team coverage for Election Day in Wisconsin continues after the break when we speak live with the Dane County Clerk. Stick around. You're watching News 3 Now this morning.
You're watching News 3 Now this morning. Moving forward.
It's Election Day in Wisconsin, and we're checking in with our local election officials for last-minute advice for voters.
Josh Breiter is live downtown, continuing our team coverage this morning. Good morning, Josh. Polls open here real quickly.
Hey, good morning, guys. Yeah, in just about 15 minutes, polls will be opening across Wisconsin, including right here at the Madison Municipal Building, one of the polling locations here in downtown. So we wanted to get an update from the Dane County Clerk. Scott McDonald is joining us live this morning. Scott, good morning to you.
Morning.
So no April Fool's joke. We have an election to talk about in Wisconsin today.
Yeah, it's another election, and well, the weather's okay right now.
And you kind of are encouraging folks to maybe get out earlier because of that today.
Yeah, we're expecting some bad weather around 5 o'clock tonight, and we're expecting record turnout. So if you can vote earlier in the day, that'd be smarter.
So last time we talked to you, we were talking about the primary. Today's the actual election. So what are you seeing as far as a voter turnout prediction?
Well, I think we'll see record turnout for a spring election. Now, it's still going to be below presidential typically, but I think we could get up to 60% turnout, which would be like a record turnout for Dane County in a spring election.
How do you prepare for something like that with a spring election from the county side?
Well, we order more ballots. We get more staff on hand. Really, and then, more poll workers. So those are the sort of the trifecta.
And I know those poll workers you wouldn't be able to do without. Those volunteers are crucial in this process.
Yeah, they've been amazing, and we really appreciate them. If it weren't for them, the system doesn't work.
So obviously spring election's a little smaller than a typical fall election. What can folks expect to see on the ballot today, and how does it all work?
Yeah, you'll see a lot of different races. So you'll see your school board elections. Maybe you'll see your city council. Obviously, there'll be the Supreme Court race. And then referendums. There's a referendum on voter ID. There's a referendum, a lot of different school referendums on there as well.
And I know we've talked about, these smaller elections sometimes. Your vote matters that much more because you're not seeing those typical numbers that you'd see, correct?
Oh, absolutely. I think, a lot of these races will be decided by small margins. So, and they affect you directly, whether they raise your taxes for your schools and all those things are really important.
So every voice matters. If folks are getting out this morning, any reminders for them as they head to the polls?
Yeah, obviously you're going to need an ID to vote. So for almost everybody, that's going to be your Wisconsin driver's license. You can use a passport. There's military ID. There's things you can use for that. You can also register at the polls. My daughter is turning 18 today, so this is going to be her first election. Wow. So she's going to register there. And so she'll have to bring, a bank statement, to show that where she lives. So that's what you can do. And it can be on your phone.
Awesome. Well, Scott, thank you so much for your time this morning, and happy Election Day.
Yeah, and happy birthday to Annie, so 18. So
and Dad's got to work.
Yeah.
That's all right. All right, Scott, thank you so much. Again, News 3 Now is your Election Day headquarters. Everything you need to know up on channel3000.com. Polls opening in just minutes, and as long as you are in line to vote by 8 o'clock tonight, you'll be able to cast your ballot, guys.
All right, there you go. Josh Breiter talking to the important people on this election day.
Yes, and even got a little shout out there at the end. That's so sweet. Dad duties. Gotta love it.
That was nice. All right, Savannah, people heading out to the polls this morning, probably going to want to grab that coat.
Yes, definitely have the coat handy because we are off to a cold start, 26 only. We do have some sunshine, though. That's not going to stick around all day. Temps will warm up mid to upper 40s. I think most of us mid 40s. 44 is our forecast high, specifically for Madison, and then winds increase later, and we'll be dealing with a rain-snow mix. I think that starts 5 p.m. west of Madison. That'll increase in coverage then, and then I'll switch over to rain and even some thunderstorms, some of which could be strong to severe. The Madison area, basically all areas in this yellow color, that's a level 2 out of 5 when you're talking about severe weather. The green color, the lowest threat, but then we do have some areas in Beloit, Lake Geneva, Kenosha, basically where this brown or tan color is. That's where the greatest threat of severe weather is going to be. This does include an isolated tornado threat. Our greatest threats are going to be strong winds and then also some isolated hail as well. Clouds going to increase through the day. Again, most of today will be dry. Once we get to the evening, that's when precipitation will start to move in. Rain-snow mix. I think as far as snow impacts, accumulation, that's all going to stay north of Madison and expected to even stay north of the Dells, kind of up near Watoma, where areas kind of sit and linger with that snow, whereas Madison and areas south all see that transition because of warmer temperatures to rain. Very widespread rain embedded with a couple of strong to severe thunderstorms. This is 6 in the morning, starting at about 4 west of Madison. That'll increase, continue to move further west or east. If we are able to see a break, though, by mid to late morning into the early afternoon, that'll increase the second round and threat for later in the day, this including that isolated tornado threat. This is 4 p.m. I say our time frame opens up at the lunchtime hour, noon, and that extends until 7, 3 to 6 p.m. specifically for Madison. That's the greatest chance, and then we're drying out after that. Snowfall totals may be a trace amount in Madison, but like I said, up near Watoma, 1 to 2 inches, and greater impacts are going to be north of here. How about the rain, though? We're going to get some pretty heavy rain out of this. Most of us through 2:30 in the morning only seeing a couple tenths of an inch, but then you start to see that heavy rain with all those storms, upwards of 1 to 2 inches, but some localized 2.5 to 3 inches can't be ruled out. We'll likely see that. So alert day conditions will be in place tonight through Wednesday.
All right, stay weather aware.
Yes.
All right. Well, coming up in the morning sprint, how a trade war could affect how you get your medications.
If you have a little kiddo turning 3 soon, send us a picture. We'll show it on TV. We're back with the sprint after this. 6:54, time for the morning sprint.
Today is election day across the state, and voters will be heading to the polls in just about 6 minutes here. And remember, if you're not registered to vote, you can still do so in person. And all you'll need is an ID and a proof of address.
Nationally, eyes are on the state Supreme Court race. The candidates are conservative Justice Brad Schimmel and liberal Justice Susan Crawford. The parties and candidates have broken the record for the most expensive judicial race in the country. The court will likely decide cases on abortion, public sector unions, voting rules, and congressional district boundaries.
Voters across the state will also vote for the state superintendent of public instruction. The role is elected every 4 years and oversees public education. Voters will choose between incumbent Dr. Jill Underly and education consultant Brittany Kinzer.
Statewide, voters will also weigh in on a constitutional amendment. If approved, it would enshrine the voter ID law into the state constitution. It's already, a law. This would make it tougher to pull out of the Constitution by future courts or the legislature.
Tomorrow, President Donald Trump plans to unveil sweeping new tariffs. The U.S. Senate is expected to take up a resolution aimed at blocking the tariffs on Canadian goods. Only a small handful of Republicans say they might join Democrats in supporting it, but others are voicing concerns. Countries including South Korea, China, and Japan are preparing to retaliate against the U.S.
President Trump's trade war with Canada could cause medication prices to rise in the U.S. An analysis in JAMA found that while only 2% of U.S. medications come from Canada, the new tariffs would add another $750 million that consumers would need to spend on those meds. The research also showed that tariffs could lead to shortages of certain medications.
Most of the day today for Election Day looks okay. It'll just be breezy later, and then we're tracking a rain-snow mix this evening, but at least during the morning and afternoon will be dry. Rain-snow mix starts later tonight into tomorrow. We could see storms 2 different rounds. All modes of severe weather would be possible, including an isolated tornado threat tomorrow afternoon and evening.
Okay, so lots to look out for. Yes. Savannah, thanks for tracking that.
Another news and weather update in 30 minutes.